Hi everyone, it's Kat from Williams OT and Brad.
Yep, hi everyone, Brad Williams here, CEO of Williams OT, and everybody, we have been bringing you a long series actually. It's turned into a longer series than what we thought we were going to cover because there's so much that goes into it. I've probably been asking too many questions, but it really goes into what's involved in a wheelchair prescription. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritties in this one.
This is good because this is about choices for you, and as we know, in order to make a wheelchair suit your needs, you also want to feel like it suits your personality as well. So there are a lot of choices along the way.
Now we're at Extra Care here in South Australia, and a massive shout out to them for lending us their assessment room and all of their equipment to demonstrate to you. We've only got a small selection. You might be able to hear some noise in the background. It's a working showroom out the front there, and they've got customers coming in. So a massive shout out to them for lending us this room today. But Ross that works here was saying this is the question that people come in with right from the start. Most clients are more concerned about what goes on their wheelchair rather than about their wheelchair. So things like cup holders, those type of things. So we're going to unpack some of those for your benefit and your fun and your individuality when it comes to this type of thing. So here we go.
Okay, so one of the things before we get to the fun choices, there are some functional things as well that we need to think about. Now, in terms of the wheelchair that Brad is sitting in, in an earlier video we touched on types of push rims. So what we can do, the one that Brad is sitting in now is brushed steel, and that helps it with the grip. It's not quite as shiny, so it means that it didn't get so hot in the hot weather as well. But these ones here that we've got are actually quite tacky to feel, and it means that if you're pushing with quite significant force, your hands aren't going to slip off the push rims.
So this one's powder coated. So that one there offers grip and support. But this one
is a bit of a, I can't remember the official name for it, it's a bit of a tacky feel.
It's got a rubber covering on it. So
and it means that you can grab the chair, grab the wheel much easier. It's not as slide through gears, much easier to grip. So that's another option. But we do have some other versions as well. So whilst, I don't know if you can see here, if you just come forward a little bit, Brad. So with the push rims that Brad's got, they are a circular design in terms of the steel tubing. So it means that the way your hand grasps that push rim is reasonably, you have to have reasonably good grasp to be able to grab that.
Yeah, so it's a cylinder. It's a cylinder. Thumb quite often goes on top, and you're using the grip of your hand like holding a tube. But
so there are some other options, and I particularly like these. These are the natural fit, and they're actually more of an oval. I don't know if you can see that, but they're more of an oval, and it means that it kind of molds to the shape of your hand like this. They're a little bit easier to grip. So if you want to try that one,
much thicker.
They're much thicker.
Oh, and that one there is even thicker.
That one's even bigger again. So that again depends on hand size too. So I might think about that for a larger guy who's got larger hands and wants to grip easily, or has got less grip capacity.
So they're more of a pusher with a open hand. So maybe a C level injury where hands are starting to be affected. You might want a more of a rather than a small tube, a bigger, thicker tube.
You can also get like a double kind of coating on it, which actually helps with grip again as well. So it's really personal choice. It's your personal preference. If you know that your hands have been slipping on your current wheelchair push rims, then we might look at a different choice. The other thing, we're going to talk about tyres.
So here, like I can just see the difference between this wheelchair and that wheelchair just on the tyre itself. This
Yeah.
one is more like what you'd see on a racing bike.
Yeah.
Not much tread right in the middle,
Yeah.
but lots of water dispersion on the edges to make sure I get a bit of grip if I'm going through wet.
Yeah.
Now that one there
It's
has
not-
got a different design altogether.
Quite
It's more
different.
like a slick tyre
It's
that
more
you see
like
in
a
a
slick tyre.
racing
And-
car.
Yeah, and you use that on flat surfaces, not so great if you're going over uneven pavements and things like that.
But
But
we have
more.
choice.
We have choice.
Lots and lots of choice.
So this is just a few examples of some of the different types of tyres that are available for different wheelchairs. You can, I don't know how much you can see here, but there are different treads available. So something like this would be a super heavy duty if you're going over some uneven ground. But there's also different types of tread for grip on surfaces. If you're going over wet pavements or something like that. Then there are some that the tread actually goes opposite directions. I'm just trying to see which one that is.
No,
No,
I'm not too
it's
sure about
not
that
yet.
one, but I know like not all wheelchairs have thin tyres like the one that I'm on now.
Yeah.
You can get quite wide, chunky, like off-road mountain
Heavy
bike
duty.
tyres,
Yeah.
and they are to give you grip over gravelly, dirt, sandy surfaces.
Yeah, a little bit of extra cushioning as well, but grip is the main thing. So there are lots and lots of choices here.
But I'm assuming that like a mountain bike, when you're on a smooth surface, it's going to be
Yeah.
as you got all these
So-
lovely bits on your tyre.
So
So
sometimes you might actually look at, depending on where you live or where you're using your wheelchair, you might actually look at a spare set of wheels, so you can actually need to change them.
yeah,
Depending on
for the
what you're
different
using
purposes.
for.
It's like me who's able-bodied. I have different sets of shoes for different purposes. I've got running shoes, I've got
Exactly.
hiking shoes, and then I've got office shoes. You might have different wheel setups depending on your surface and what you're actually using it for.
Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is storage as well. Underneath the seat, one of the key things that I'm asked really frequently, and it's not on this particular chair, but where am I going to put my motor on? So for a manual wheelchair user, that can be really difficult. And if you're sliding it down the side,
Yep.
they fall out, you lose it, you don't want that. So there are little bags that you can get that fasten underneath the front of the seat.
Underneath here.
This goes across the frame hangers, so that it's literally between your legs and you can unzip it, pop your valuables in there, and they're nice and secure and easy to access.
Now I noticed in our cushion video, and if you haven't gone back and looked at the cushion video, make sure you do.
Yeah.
One of our cushions even had a compartment attached to the
Little
cushion,
pocket,
yeah, to the cushion itself, rather than this one. But this
Yeah.
one can be taken off and into the shop with you, and can be attached where your cushion.
Some of the chairs, I'm just going to turn this around, some of the chairs will actually have a
Yeah.
mobile phone flap that sits just here, and you can actually stick your mobile into it as well, which is really useful and very practical, obviously.
Now, if I wanted to be an individual,
Yes.
do I have to have a black or silver chair?
No, you don't. No, you don't. The good thing is the frame colour. Now, I don't know that Brad would necessarily choose pink,
Okay.
but up to you. So you can have the actual frame type. This part here can be a colour. Some people actually like to have just highlights of colour on the
You can't see that on this
legs
video,
of
but
the front casters.
this wheelchair has little blue specks everywhere. So
Yeah.
down at my front casters, there's a little blue component.
A few little
It's
highlights.
also got blue spokes.
Yeah.
It's a little few blue. I like it.
Few
Like,
little
it suits me, and
individual.
it's kind of the
It
Williams
matches
O2
our
colours.
colour
Yeah, that's right. But I'd go for a bit more of a navy blue
Yes.
if I really wanted it to match in. But no, I
Yeah.
like this colour scheme of chrome and blue, but it's not for everyone.
So
That's for
there
sure.
are all sorts of different options. If you really want to stand out, you particularly love green, there are all sorts of colours. Different wheelchair brands have different colour options. There's also some quite subtle colours as well if you prefer that. Now this here are fabric choices as well. This is probably more relevant for custom backrests and the accessories or postural supports that go onto your chair. If you particularly want, I did have this for one of my clients who was a North Melbourne supporter.
Oh, right.
So she wanted her wheelchair in blue and white. And sometimes we'll even look at a cushion cover, which is individualised if that's what the person wants. So that is a choice.
And last of all, the all-important cup holder can be attached as well. So what we were told by the representative here is, no matter what you want on your chair, we need to get the chair right for you first, and then the add-ons can come. The one thing that was explained to us at the start is the little fancy stuff might not get funded by NDIS.
And
Can you explain that for us, Kat?
Yeah, one of the key components, and this is why we go through so much detail when we're planning a new wheelchair and doing an application, is it needs to be reasonable, it needs to be necessary, and it needs to meet the person's disability needs. If it is not essential that you have those extra add-ons, then we don't want your application to get rejected for funding because we've put on all of these optional extras. A little key point, which is a lot of people don't know, we can do this application for you. You are welcome to go to a baby supply place. Some of the pram attachments are awesome and easy to adapt for wheelchairs as well. So, you know, cup holders, mobile phone holders, all sorts of stuff. You just have to think a bit outside of the box, but we like to say, consider what's reasonable, consider what has to be funded through NDIS and what we can justify.
So the good way to think about it is like going to my parents to ask for money to buy a new car. Look, I can get all the bells and whistles and get myself a very fancy Mercedes, but it's pretty unlikely that my parents are going to pay for that, to borrow money from them. But they might be able to help me and fork out for a little Daihatsu or something like that. It's really small. If we think about NDIS in that frame of mind, that they'll pay for the things that are needed to get you to the places that you need to go, to do the things that you need to do. The accessories are things that you might need to add on to the money that's being provided by the government. So like me getting money from the parents, I might need to do the top up for the extra things that I want on a car.
And a lot of people are quite shocked as to how much a custom chair can cost. And there is a range, there are different options available, there are different price ranges, but most of the time we will look at what a person's functional needs are related to their disability, and we'll give a few choices to find the right one. So there is choice, but within reason.
Before we sign off on manual wheelchairs, because I think this is the last thing in regards about manual wheelchairs themselves, I just want to give a maintenance tip, because even in the driving side of things, we see this all the time. Today we've spoken about tyres. You've got to have the right pressure in your tyre. So many times I see people come into their assessment for driving, and we're trying to do a transfer into the driver's seat, and the wheels and the brakes don't work with each other. The tyre pressure's gone down, the grip on the tyres have worn off, and they literally can put I can't propel this wheelchair. I can if I use all of my strength when the brakes are on. But some of the clients that we see, it's not even worth having brakes. They're just ill fit.
And that's a really important point in terms of maintenance. What we do, what we like to do at Williams OT, when we do an assessment, we also will ask for a quote for maintenance, annual maintenance, to keep your wheelchair in tip-top condition for as long as possible. So mostly NDIS will look at that recommendation, and they'll put in some separate money into your plan for maintenance. And it is really important that annual maintenance is maintained, because otherwise if a chair isn't looked at for, is used every day and it's not looked at for 5 years, all sorts of things start going wrong, which actually could have been prevented at very low cost, but all combined, it means that we have a real problem.
Yeah. This has been it for the manual chairs at this stage. There's lots more that goes into it, whether you need camber, whether you need a sports chair or a specific chair for a sport that you're playing, whether you need a fishing rod on, whether you need this or that. There's so much more that goes into it, and that's where you really need to speak to your OT or an equipment supplier such as Extra Care here today, who have lent us their assessment room to bring you these videos over these series. We are going to do a couple more videos. We haven't even touched on power wheelchairs yet, so look out for that one if you're considering power wheelchairs. And we're also going to do that in between. You might have saw that in our initial video where we're talking about power assist. Yep.
Excellent. Can't wait for that video.
All right. Stay tuned, everybody. What about wheelchairs? WOT about wheelchairs. You can go back and search the hashtag or search for those if you missed out on the video before now.
See you guys. Bye.